On the morning of February 16, 2003, a man walked into the most secure diamond vault on Earth. 10 levels of security, a vault door with 100 million possible combinations, motion sensors, heat sensors, a magnetic field on the door itself, seismic detectors buried in the walls, guards, cameras, a police station around the corner. He beat all of it. And when investigators opened that vault the next morning, more than $100 million in diamonds, gold, and cash was simply gone. Here's the part that still keeps detectives up at night. They know who did it. They caught him. He went to prison. To this day, nobody knows how. To understand this heist, you have to understand where it happened. Antwerp, Belgium. A single square mile that handles roughly 80% of the world's rough diamonds. Billions of dollars move through these few streets every single day, and at the center of it all sits the Antwerp Diamond Center. 2 floors beneath that building was a vault the industry called impregnable. Not difficult, not risky, impossible. The safe deposit boxes inside held the fortunes of the world's diamond dealers. Loose stones, gold bars, bearer bonds, cash. The kind of wealth you can hold in one hand. Getting to it meant defeating a security system built in layers, each one designed to catch what the last one missed. And the man who cracked it had been planning for one reason above all others. He had already gotten inside. His name was Leonardo Notarbartolo, an Italian, charming, well-dressed, unremarkable, a diamond dealer, or at least, that's what everyone believed. 3 years before the heist, Notarbartolo rented an office in the Diamond Center itself. He paid his rent, he smiled at the guards, he became a tenant, and a tenant gets something no outside thief ever could. Access. A pass card to the building, a safe deposit box of his own inside the vault, and time, years of it, to walk those halls, ride that elevator, and study every camera, every sensor, every door, until he knew the system better than the men who installed it. He wasn't casing the vault from the outside, he was living inside it. But knowing a system and beating it are two very different things, because between Notarbartolo and those diamonds stood a wall of technology that, on paper, could not be crossed. Let's walk through what he was up against. To reach the vault, you pass through a private security zone, monitored around the clock. Then a heavy vault door, a combination lock with more possible codes than there are seconds in 3 years. The door was sealed with a magnetic plate. Break the magnetic field, and the alarm screams. Inside the vault chamber, a sensor that detected both motion and body heat at the same time. Beat one, you still trip the other. On the floor, a light sensor. If the room went from dark to lit while no one was authorized to be there, alarm. Seismic sensors in the walls to catch drilling, and every safe deposit box had its own lock and its own steel faceplate. 10 separate systems. Each one alone was formidable. Together, they were supposed to be a fortress. On the night of the heist, every single one of them failed. The weekend of February 15th, the building was quiet. Notarbartolo and his team, a small crew of specialists, each with a nickname, each with a skill, moved in. They knew the heat and motion sensor was the real problem. So they did something almost absurdly simple. They covered it. A thin shield over the sensor, blocking it from ever seeing the warmth of a human body moving through the room. The most sophisticated detector in the vault, defeated by a piece of covering placed just so. The magnetic seal on the door? They had studied exactly how it worked. Unscrew the plate carefully, hold the 2 halves of the magnetic field together so the system never knows the door has opened, and slip inside. The light sensor? They blinded. The cameras that should have been recording it all, the footage would later show the crew had accounted for them too. And then they were in. Standing in a vault the world believed no one could enter, surrounded by hundreds of steel boxes, each one a fortune waiting to be opened. One by one they went to work on the boxes, prying, drilling, forcing the faceplates. Not all of them. They didn't have time for all of them, but enough. More than 100 boxes cracked open before the night was through. Diamonds. Loose, uncut, and cut. Gold, cash, bearer bonds. They swept it into bags. When they finally climbed back out into the cold Antwerp night, they were carrying an estimated $100 million. Some say far more. No one will ever know the exact figure, because many of the dealers who lost fortunes that night kept diamonds they had never declared. They couldn't report a loss they weren't supposed to have. The perfect victims for the perfect crime. By every measure, Leonardo Notarbartolo had just pulled off the greatest diamond heist in history. He should have vanished. Instead, he got caught. And the reason why is almost too stupid to believe. The crew had one rule for the aftermath: leave nothing behind. But in the days after the heist, a landowner outside the city found garbage dumped along a forest road. Annoyed, he called the police, and when investigators sifted through that trash, they found the debris of the century's biggest robbery: envelopes from the diamond center, dust, receipts, and a partially eaten sandwich. On that sandwich, and on the trash around it, was DNA. That DNA led back to Leonardo Notarbartolo, the man who defeated 10 layers of impossible security, who outsmarted magnetic fields and heat sensors and a vault door with 100 million combinations, was undone by his own garbage. He was arrested, convicted, sentenced to 10 years. But here is where the story stops being a heist and becomes a mystery. Because the diamonds were never recovered, almost none of that $100 million was ever found. And when Notarbartolo finally spoke about the crime years later, from prison, the story he told didn't match the evidence. He claimed the heists was smaller, that a mysterious diamond dealer had hired the whole thing, possibly for an insurance fraud that went bigger than anyone intended. Investigators didn't buy it. Some of the crew were never conclusively identified. The full method, exactly how every layer was beaten, in what order, on what night, has never been completely reconstructed. There are pieces of that evening that exist only in the memory of the men who were there, and they have never told the truth. We know who walked into that vault. We know roughly what he took. But the how, the complete, step-by-step how, remains, to this day, one of the great unsolved puzzles in criminal history. $100 million in diamonds walked out of the safest room on Earth and simply disappeared into the world. The Antwerp job is called the heist of the century. But it wasn't the only crime that left the police staring at an impossible puzzle. Because in our next story, a crew didn't beat the vault with cleverness. They spent 3 months tunneling through solid rock to reach it, and when they finally broke through, what they found on the other side changed everything. If you want that story the moment it drops, subscribe. Some vaults were built to keep people out. We're here to show you how they got in.